Hi, my name's Joe. I've been a Kiss fan since I was 7 years old. My neighbor let me listen to his Love Gun record, and between the album cover and the music, I was hooked. I, like every other kid on my block, was blown away by the pictures I had seen of them, the music I had heard from them, and the rumors I had heard about them. The blood was real. So was the fire. Gene's tongue was a cow's tongue. They always wore the makeup, and no one ever saw them without it. I remember very clearly being at my grandmother's house one afternoon when she was watching General Hospital. A commercial came on for the new record Kiss Unmasked. I ran straight to my mother and asked if I could get it. She told me, "If you go to camp, when you get back, I'll get it for you." Up until that moment, I had argued and fought every day because I didn't want to go to camp. Boom. There I am, waiting to go to camp. I got on that bus and went, and it sucked. 2 weeks of torture. But when I got home, I got that record. I'm 47 now, and like most of you watching this, I never stopped following the band. I've collected everything Kiss I could get my hands on. I've seen the band countless times, met them, gone on the cruises, and for the past 5 years, I've even hosted my own podcast about them. Recently, I was sitting in my room and I was thinking, it'd be really cool to tell my story. And then I thought, it'd be even more cool if I could tell our story about our love for the greatest rock and roll band of all time. So far since we started filming, we've been to Miami, Florida, Key West, the Bahamas, Nashville, Tennessee. We're going to be in Las Vegas, New Jersey, Birmingham, Alabama, and our first stop right here is Atlanta, Georgia. It happens to be where I live as well, so it makes it kind of easy. We're visiting my friend Kevin, who I also enlisted after filming this to help us make the movie. He's been a Kiss fan for a long time. He's got a cool story, and I think you're going to enjoy it. Who's your favorite member of Kiss?
My favorite member of Kiss has always been Gene Simmons.
How old were you when you discovered the band?
So I'm 45 now. It's 2018. So I grew up, I was a young kid in the 70s. So I was familiar with Kiss through whatever was on TV. When the movie came out, I was familiar with that, and so at a young age, I was drawing pictures of Kiss, and my mother did not approve. But I didn't really know anything about the music. I just thought they looked cool, and I was into superheroes. But I didn't really rediscover them until about 1985, when I was a little skate rat, trying to be a skate rat. Really just got hurt a lot. And I was listening to a lot of punk rock, but I would go to the record store and I would see tapes at that time. CDs weren't really around. And I would see tapes and I would see Kiss because the catalog was huge. I would see that section and I'd go, I remember those guys. And I started just flipping through it. And for whatever reason, the one that struck me was, I thought, I'll just get the latest one. And that was Asylum. And that kicked it off for me. From there, it was full on. I had to get everything that Kiss did. I knew I wanted to get a Makeup album next, so my second album was Alive 2. But that set me on my path.
Right. You're a musician.
I am a musician.
Were you a musician before Kiss?
No, and in fact, as a young kid, I didn't really even listen to music. I think the only 45s I ever bought, because that's kind of what you did when you were at early 80s. You bought a 45 or you bought an album, right? And I think the only 45s I ever bought was like Pac-Man Fever and maybe Come On Feel the Noise by Quiet Riot. Maybe I Loved Rock and Roll, Joan Jett. But I wasn't really into music, again, until I got into skateboarding. And my mother tried to teach me piano, took piano lessons, but no, it didn't stick. It was after I got into skateboarding and punk rock and then Kiss, metal, then it was just everything opened up. And I thought, I'm going to be a bass player because I knew that nobody in my little town had a bass. And I thought, I could be in any band I want if I get a bass. So that's how I started playing bass guitar.
So It has inspired you?
Kiss, yes. Gene Simmons was part of the reason I wanted to play music, in particular bass. But I also loved the drums. I loved everything about the guitars and drums and just the whole combination. So I wanted to play everything. But I gravitated towards bass first, and then eventually I became a drummer.
Explain how they've been involved in your life. Like, what do they mean to you?
It's kind of like my musical thread. You know how, at least at my age, being a kid in the 70s and 80s, and then when I was in college, my college years was kind of the grunge years in music. And you've got all these changes in music, especially from those decades. But Kiss has always been the common thread, no matter what. And I know that, Kiss kind of went up and down with it changing their trends as well, especially in the 80s. But they've always been that common thread for me. And no matter what's going on pop culture-wise or what's happening in pop music, or I always come back to Kiss. So Kiss kind of is the thread of all music for me.
You have friends that are like, I can't believe you like that band.
Yeah, well, especially in the late '80s when all of my friends were into thrash, and that's you either are a punk rocker or you're a thrash guy, and you could get into like Iron Maiden or something like that, but even that wasn't heavy enough. And I came to school with a Kiss T-shirt on almost every day, and I had this jacket, which on the back has a lot of Kiss patches. And yeah, I caught a lot of crap for that just walking down the halls in my high school.
No fights?
No fights. No, I never got into a fight over Kiss, although lots of heated discussions about the validity of their music. Because everybody always, of course, says that they're just a clown band, they're just image, or they just want to make money or whatever it is. But never any fights, but heated discussions about the validity of the music. Because even without the image, for me, I love the music. And even playing the music, it may not be the most challenging thing I've ever played, but man, it's got great groove and feel. And that's all you need in music for me.
Right.
My first Kiss record, the one that was mine of my very, very own, was Kiss Alive 2. And I'll never forget the first time I listened to it. I put it on, and it was like, kaboom, and it's Kiss, you want them? Yeah, and right into them first songs and rock so hard, and just something, a little kid just be like, yeah, and you look at the album cover, man, you open that big old sleeve up and see them with the fire and the explosions, and they're up on the deals, and Peter Criss is on his risers with the cat. I mean, it blow a kid's mind, What did you expect me to turn out to be? I mean, look at me. This is because of Kiss. It's all because of Kiss.
My first Kiss record was a cassette copy of Love Gun. It was like the old one, not the remastered one. It was like $3, and that was the first one right there.
My first Kiss record was the Rock and Roll Over album. I remember going to get on my bike and drive down to our local music store, the Vinyl Jungle, and I walked in and I knew nothing about Kiss, and I saw this cover and I'm like, what the hell is this? Brought it home, didn't even know who they were or what they sounded like, and I was hooked from that point forward.
How much money would you say you've spent? either now you've been on Kiss cruises.
I have, yeah.
And have you ever traveled out of state to see them, or besides the cruise?
I actually have not traveled out of state. I have a cousin who is also big into Kiss, and he went to the Unplugged show in '95 in New York, and he didn't give me a call for some reason, and that would have been the one that I would have traveled for. But I never traveled to see them other than what was drivable for me. I'd go to Nashville if I was in Atlanta, or when I was in college, if I was in South Carolina, I would drive to Atlanta, but not much further than that, until the Kiss cruise. And I didn't go on the Kiss cruises until the fifth one, and that was because I had young kids, and I just couldn't leave the babies. But once I got old enough, I was out.
If you had to put
If I had to put a dollar amount, I mean, the cruises alone puts me.
I mean, you have, Kiss.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have nearly the collection that a lot of people do, but I have this one little space for myself, and so.
Between the cruises and
yeah, I'd say upwards of $15,000, maybe.
$15,000.
Yeah.
Have you ever sat around and thought, man, where would I be right now if I hadn't seen Gene Simmons?
never contemplated that, but I think I still would have been into music, but it may not. I may not have been as hardcore into music. It may not have been a big part of my life. Like I said, I think Kiss is the common thread for me for just music in general, in particular rock music. But I'm into all sorts of music. But I think my fandom with Kiss it created this whole music as my life kind of thing that I have.
Right. So Asylum was your first tape.
It was. First cassette.
Is it your favorite record?
Yeah, it's hard. I would say Alive 2 is probably my favorite. That was the second one I got, and I got, not having a lot of money as a kid, it was like maybe a month or two from when I got Asylum, I got Alive 2. I love Asylum, especially the first side of that album, but Alive 2 is where I really went, oh, this is why they were such a big deal. I really liked Asylum, but when I heard Alive 2, I went, oh, okay, I get it. And it may have been the fake crowd noise that was really spiked up that just made it go, wow, people were crazy about these guys. But I got it. And I had never heard, because in the 80s, it was all flash, guitar, Eddie Van Halen style guitar. And so I had never heard guitar playing like Ace's. And so that was, if you have to ask me a second favorite member, it would be Ace. Because I just love his guitar picking and then just his unique style. And so that was the other key to my Kiss fandom.
As you started going, you bought Asylum, then you bought Alive 2, then you bought something else,
yep.
and something else, and something else. What did you think when you got to The Elder?
Well, my story, I'll tell you about Dynasty and Unmasked first, and then we'll talk about The Elder. So at that time in my little town, it was basically you got the latest release or you got whatever was the biggest seller, because that's just all they had at my little record shop. But I only lived a few, maybe 40 minutes from Charlotte, North Carolina. So they had big record stores there. But still, at that time, it was hard to find anything other than what was kind of greatest hits compilations or, the big sellers like Destroyer, Love Gun, etc. But I remember, so I never could find The Elder, to answer your question. I just could not find The Elder for years. And at that point in time, CDs were new and I was trying to buy CDs. So I was going to get Kiss on CD because that was my band. But I remember buying the tapes I got Unmasked and Dynasty. Now all I had at this point was 80s Output and Alive 2 and Alive. And then I grabbed Unmasked and Dynasty because I found them. I'd seen them for the first time. I went, oh, I've never seen these. I'm going to get them. And I just had them. It was just puzzling to me, those, because they sound nothing like Kiss. At least to my ears at that time, it sounded nothing like Kiss. And I remember being so disappointed in that. But by the time I got The Elder, maybe a year later, I actually really enjoyed The Elder. But at the same time, I'm into progressive music, so I was getting into Rush, I was getting into Yes, and so it didn't seem that far off. Pink Floyd, I knew who Bob Ezrin was. So The Elder doesn't rub me the wrong way like it does a lot of people.
Do you like Dynasty and Unmasked now?
I do now. I love both of those albums now, and listening to them with older ears, I don't really know why I didn't get it as a kid. It may have just been the tones, the thickness of the guitars, the fact that they were so light. And I still wish they would redo Unmasked with some chunkier guitars.
I hear that a lot.
I became a Kiss fan in probably 1979. I had seen 321 Contact really did it for me. You know what I mean? But I kind of knew about Kiss before that, just because they were that band, What about you, Matt?
Summer of '76, when I'm about 8 years old and everybody around in the neighborhood was a Kiss fan. Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over, and then going back and what are these early albums? It was a great time to be a Kiss fan.
I became a Kiss fan in 1976 in the fall. I discovered them in my buddy's brother's bedroom. Actually, we were snooping in his room and we came across Kiss Destroyer, and I was like, holy crap, what is this? We put it on and I was just mesmerized. Detroit Rock City, first song that I ever listened to for Kiss, and it was so different from what was playing in my house. My parents had a lot of Elvis and everything, and it was just so different. The visual was cool, but the music just absolutely blew me away.
1984, MTV, 14 years old, saw the Heavens on Fire video, thought it was cool that people get to jump through hoops of fire and have women all over the place, so definitely wanted that.
The year I became a fan was 2007, I want to say. I think I was 14 years old. My dad was a huge fan growing up, and he just got me onto it. You know, it took me a little bit longer to figure out that's what I really wanted, you know, and ever since then I went to a Kiss Expo in 2007, like I said, right up the road here in Nashville, and it just went from there.
No, of course Daddy has tried to influence them, and it's funny. So you can see up here this Peter Criss mask. My 5-year-old this Halloween is going as Peter Criss, or going as the Catman, sorry.
Yeah.
But she doesn't want to wear the mask, she wants makeup, so I stuck the mask up there. But yes, she's in my, I sent a picture to my wife the other day, her trying on her Halloween outfit, and my wife just said no comment.
Yeah. She's behind you on this kind of stuff. She understands
she
your hobby and
well, she puts up with it, let's say that.
Right.
I've taken her to one show. I took her to the show with Aerosmith, and she agreed with me that Kiss blew Aerosmith away. Of course, they were playing Honkin' on Bobo, so how could you not blow them away? But you know, it rained the whole time. That was an Atlanta show. It rained. It was nasty, but she at least saw what I was into. She's like, okay, I've seen it. She doesn't need to go back. But also, my kids are drawing Kiss now, which is kind of funny.
Oh, that's really awesome.
So, but they only know it by the Scooby-Doo. They only know the characters by Scooby-Doo, so they call it the Demon. And who's your favorite, Daddy? Is it the Demon? Like, yeah, the Demon's my favorite.
Do you think that Kiss doing something like Scooby-Doo and crossing over, you know, trying to grab the attention of younger people was smart?
I think it was brilliant. And I don't know if they fully thought it through, because I am sure to them Scooby-Doo was an old enterprise, right? It was around in the 70s when they were big. So they may not have thought it through of how many children will watch Scooby-Doo these days. But to me, I think it's brilliant, because every kid I know, even my nieces, they're into like hip hop, but they watch Scooby-Doo and they know who Kiss is. Of course, they call it The Kiss.
The Kiss.
The Kiss.
So what is your what's the thing that you own Kiss merchandise wise that is like your most prized possession?
The Punisher base that you're going to buy for me will just be awesome. I can't wait for that.
Done. Get the credit.
You know, I've got lots of cool things that I think's cool. Like I have a picture up here from the Asylum tour that I just bought at the Kiss Expo, and I just thought that was cool. I'd never seen any Asylum stuff, so that was cool to me.
That was at the Atlanta Expo.
That was at the Atlanta Expo.
I was going to buy that, and then when I went, it was gone, and only when I walked in here and saw it did I realize Kevin.
But another thing that's really cool is a nanny that we had said, "Oh, you like Kiss?" She came down here and said, "Oh, you like Kiss? I've got an old poster in my house if you want it." And she gave it to me, and I unroll it, and it has Gene Simmons' autograph on it and Peter Criss's autograph on it.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's like, I mean, you know, it's cool to get the autographs when you're there in person, but it was just so cool. Like, she just gave me this poster, and sure enough, it has 2 autographs on it, which I thought was kind of cool. But probably my most prized possession is the fact that this has still made it, which this is a scrapbook I put together when I was in high school. And I took any bits of information I could get that had Kiss in it from any magazine or any publication that I could find at the time. So it was like, you know, all I could do to find mostly 80s stuff. But when I got my first official printed picture of them in makeup, this is it. This was from a hit parader in 1985, and I was like, "Oh, that's them," you know, because it was in the 80s. Rediscovering the band and trying to discover their 80s past was really difficult. Or I'm sorry, their 70s past was really difficult.
Yeah, it was. And every once in a while, something would come out.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one. I remember I was at a. This is kind of cool. I was at a grocery store in my little town, and I found this in the magazine section, and it's basically like an abbreviated history of the band, and it's got all the elder shots in it, and I mean, this was just a rare find for me. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, you go to the Kiss expos when they come to your town. You go to the Kiss concerts when they come to your town. You've done the Kiss cruises. What would you say? The Kiss cruises. Would you say that those are?
That's Mecca for sure. Yeah, to me, just being the first year I went with a buddy of mine, and he likes Kiss, but he's not as crazy about Kiss as the rest of the boat. So it was a little bit of a downer, my first one, but I was just kind of feeling it out. They did all of the Alive album, which was amazing. But it was the second one where I went by myself, and I could really just soak everything in and just do what I wanted as I walked around. I think that's where we hung out some, Joe. And that Electric, that was the Sail Away where they did Electric. And they played rare cut after rare cut after rare. And that was the top of the list for me.
Kiss is absolutely your favorite band of all time?
Absolutely my favorite. When anybody finds out I'm a musician, they always ask, who's your favorite band? And I will always say Kiss. And I will always defend that because you usually have to.